Yeah, I learned a few things about this synthesizer while I was using it. First, I recorded a song where I took the audio out and the MIDI out, and I played some tracks, and then I fixed up the MIDI, quantized it or whatever, and then I recorded it again and changed the sound design for different parts of the song, and then repeated this for each part. So in that sense, it was a great workhorse synthesizer, made some great sounds, and really offered a lot of immediate and intuitive sound design. Like, you say to yourself, well, that's a lovely sound, but it needs to be brighter. Easy.
That's right.
Then I created some patches. So if you go to bank A,
let's see, patch. No, bank. A.
Yeah.
Patch 0.
So if you go to patch 1, you should see A hashed. So this is just like an organ sound. Okay. So if you turn down the distortion, yeah. So that's kind of meant to be like the feeling of a Hammond through a sort of on-edge tube amp. The other way you can get a distortion is with the filter overdrive.
You had none there, but
Yeah, I really like that sound. That feels really good to me.
it's like a distortion effect. Is this analog distortion or?
I think so, yeah. That feels really nice to me. I usually gravitate towards those crunchier sounds. Alright, so let's go to the next patch. So yeah, I made 26 of these, but
26 patches.
yes, one for each letter of the alphabet.
Oh, okay.
But so this is kind of just a crunchy synthesizer, but let's see what did I do for the next one.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, so this is your 80s super bright synthesizer, very much, I want to say, a utility patch. It's got a little bit of wobble in there, a little bit of crunch. Yeah, it feels really good, doesn't it? But it's not going to win any creativity awards, you could say. So one of the things I found really interesting about this was the FM. So if you just get these knobs back into patch positions by
Oh yeah, and it's nice. You can, when you move them, it'll show you right where you are. Like it was there, 72.
Yeah.
You had it with nothing. Oh, 126.
yeah, so we've got these two oscillators frequency modulating each other, and it ends up very noisy. So if we just dial that back, it's a much more of a once you get enough FM with these analog oscillators, or are they digital? Digital oscillators.
Digital, yeah.
Once you get enough frequency modulation, I guess it doesn't matter, analog or digital, it starts to get quite noisy. And I find that if you just turn all these all the way up, the fundamental is almost completely destroyed. But if you turn them off, it sounds very much pitched. And so this patch is kind of about getting kind of halfway. So we'll go back to the original. There's a lot of noise, but you still have something.
There's definitely key tracking with the filter. The higher you go,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So this one's, you know, got like the decay. This decay. So this is more like a piano's shape in terms of volume envelope. Or maybe even a little bit shorter, maybe it's sort of a piano with the felt on. But so this is playing with the LFOs, you know, kind of sounds that don't really stay stable.
So is it randomly unstable? Or
I think with this one, I can't remember exactly which patch I did this on, but one of the techniques that you can use is if you detune one of the oscillators, then you get these beating, and if you LFO one of the oscillators but not the other, then you get this kind of beating that comes in and out. So I think that's an interesting sound design technique that you can do here on the Summit. Dark, wobbly, and a little crunchy.
And some effects.
That's quite an obvious reverb. What I designed on some of these patches, and I think where this particular reverb can add a lot, is if you just, instead of trying to make it an audible reverb, try and make it part of the sound and try and shape that release of the envelope with the reverb. I think is one of the more effective ways, because I don't know if this reverb is going to win any prizes if you compare it with the Strymons and the, you know, the more serious reverb algorithm junkies in Universal Audio. But
do you have said Strymon reverb pedal? Effect?
I have a Strymon module, and I have a Universal Audio reverb, but or anything in the DAW that can really do convolutions or something like that. But it's nice, and it adds that dimension, especially if you're just playing this instrument on its own, that a lot of synthesizer sounds to really sound big and fat, and delay and reverb is an important part.
To me, it sounds really good and much better than my Alesis microverb.
Well, the Alesis microverb really is lo-fi enough now that it has its own sound, and people love it for that now.
Really? Speaking of lo-fi,
yeah, so that's the filter being LFO'd. So maybe a bit, honestly, that's a little bit, you know, the sound designer got a little out of control. Hard to say what you're going to do with that musically speaking. And definitely pushing the envelope on unpitchedness. So...
Did you use a lot of these for your track?
No, I know, these are all after I made the track.
Oh.
This is another example of sort of trying to create something that's liminally pitched. But I think this one potentially could be quite musically useful. Possibly.
I agree. Yeah, cool effect. Like if you're designing things for a theater show or something, you could figure that out.
So with this patch, I tried to make the liminal pitch effect in time. So I envelope the FM amounts. So you start completely unpitched. All the FM is way up. and then you end with this very dark, almost sinusoidal tone. There isn't a real instrument that does that.
Yeah, isn't that great about this instrument? This is an instrument. Yeah,
Yeah,
and other synths you can make
of
some,
course,
some
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, another LFO of the filter on this one. And the delay is short enough that the delay almost... No, the delay, that's not real delay. That's not really blending into the sound. But if we took this delay time and turned it right down, then the delay starts to become a dimension of the sound. Where before it was really an effect.
A little bit like what I want to do with a delay on drums, because it's like you can kind of do that with your hand like a drummer. These little flutter kind of things in time.
Lots of crunch on that. That's your The other thing I noticed is that the VCA volume, the VCA gain knob, can really push the signal above the sort of clipping limits there. So I guess when you think about gain staging this instrument, you know, important things from how much crunch you get are VCA gain, overdrive on the filter, and then of course the distortion knob.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever you're, you know, if you have limited headroom on what you're heading into. That's not the case with our recording chain now. Good. So that's a pretty simple tone. Yeah, somewhere around here I changed the tuning table. So if we go back to, yeah, it's back to equal temperament, so.
Equal temperament has like an 80s quality, you know, because they were tuned that way.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of this chorus, which I think, you know, for me, a really slow chorus that's nice and thick is where I want to be.
There's a nice sine wave under there.
Okay, yeah, that's another technique. It's a CS80 kind of approach where it had a sine wave that you could mix in.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you set one of the oscillators to be, you know, basically a sinusoidal sub, it kind of creates that effect. Just makes it a bit heavier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing with a band, maybe you don't want that, but
yeah. It's a totally different thing with a band. You might even just want to do mono into one amplifier.
yeah, potentially.
Playing the band.
We're back to the organ world.
Are we overdriving your mixer?
No, I think we're about to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this was set to 72, so quite a bit of that one. But we can turn that back and get you a cleaner organ sound. So I mean, I would look at presets like this as starting points, and once you have a musical situation and you say to yourself, well, I don't want that much crunch, then you know you should go in and just say, I'm gonna change that now. Don't feel like that's that everything is in its canonical position.
And then you can do you can do a quick save.
Yeah,
To change,
if that's
for
if
your
that's
purpose. Yeah.
if that's where you want to be. Okay, yeah. So this is a fun one. So you just play a single note. Is this the one where I made it a major chord?
Oh yeah, here, yeah.
And it's a just major chord. So I kind of have in mind this sort of techno house, maybe trance, yeah, that kind of sequencing. Where they put a chord on a single note and then just play that. But it also is interesting to sort of experiment around with the. Oh, that's a cool.
Yeah.
You figured it out. Nice. Just a nice patch there. Yeah, much more mellow on that one, isn't it? Almost like an electric piano type sound with that initial attack. But also a lot of sustain, which is...
Yeah, the Hammond organ does that click thing.
Yeah, so if you set a really short decay and then a sustain that's somewhere in the middle, then you can get that kind of effect. Yeah, so not at 100%. So you get the snap at the attack, and that sound effect or sound design technique might be more suited for the band. You know, when you hit those keys, you're coming through the mix, and then when you're sustaining, it's like a piano. You're kind of falling into the background there. So possibly usable. Getting more into the noise direction with the same concept as the previous patch.
Cool.
What's going on there? Yeah, that's sort of clangy. That must be FM based. Or possibly oscillators detuned can produce a similar effect.
Nice.
That's your pizzicato strings. And there the delay is just kind of halfway between an effect and something that's filling in the sound itself. Obviously completely out of control, possibly not musical.
Did you make them from other patches, or did you start it like the init?
I started each patch from the previous patch.
Oh,
Maybe
okay,
that's clear because there's some sort of... Yeah, you can hear elements of the previous patch here. Yeah, it's a little bit too noisy for the Bach piece, say. Another one of those pluck and sustain kind of. a normal synthesizer sound. Yeah, so this one's got a lot of that LFO shaking in it.
And the LFO speeds up after you.
Oh yeah, so this one I got a little deeper with the sound design. So I set LFO 3 to modulate the speed of LFO 2.
Wow.
So you get that kind of speeding up and slowing down of the LFO itself. To try and create a bit more motion even. So I think you can really take the sounds on this pretty deep. You know, you've got the front panel controls, and then some of the things like the LFO 3 and 4 are in the menu, which you have to dive into, and it takes considerably more effort. But it rewards both tinkering and going deep. So a wonderful synthesizer with some amazing sounds.
And you didn't even get too in depth with modulation from velocity, things like that.
There's so much more you can do for expression and the animation controls as well. And on top of that, we didn't get it all to the sort of multi-mode or the options there. So
cool.
Awesome.